Hey guys, welcome to today's video debrief, where we're going to talk about takeoffs, landings, what we can do to make it look a little bit better, a little smoother, and make you a better pilot. I'm Allie from One Up Adventures, and let's go ahead and get into it.
Alright, so we'll start out with an easy but common one. The first thing to note is that there's higher wind, and while this might not be dangerous, it's going to be a little uncomfortable if you haven't experienced it before. Now let's look at that again. Even though there's wind and we're rolling backwards, it's totally okay as long as you keep in mind the bigger the glider, the more at risk for turtling you are. Alright, let's watch his approach. He's coming in nice and stable, and he has a bounce. But let's talk about why that bounce happened. As soon as you land, eyes up, continue taxiing. Now, for his landing, he waited until he hit the ground to flare, and his flare was really big. If you notice though, he kept his hands all the way down and kept them from continuing to bounce. Okay, this one's silly, but it happens a lot. On trikes with brakes, foot brake can be engaged, but you also see that the pilot is pulling hand brakes at the same time, so the glider just did not have an opportunity to inflate. So this video, we've got a couple things to brief. The first is watch this glider and how fast it shoots up once it comes out of that prop wash. You can slow it down by adding the weight of your arms and pulling brake. Kyle is talking about going a little bit slower. He's taxiing really fast right on the border of being able to get off the ground. But as he approaches the end of his taxiing space, instead of flying, he's bringing the glider down. Watch it how it starts to go over to the right. He should pull his left brake to keep it from hitting the nose of the glider. We've got a lot to dissect on this inflation. First off, the wing comes up to the left. That's happening because he's taxiing in a crosswind. So I had to slow it down because I can't possibly talk fast enough to walk you through what's going on here. First off, with the glider falling to the left, he's not holding the A's for inflation. He could easily be using his right hand to start and correct that glider overhead. When it gets more than 45 degrees over to one side, we actually want to steer with our nose wheel just a little bit while holding right brake. It's going to swing to the right. That's when we stop correcting with the right hand and start to pull left brake. Stop it overhead, kind of like a marble on a cutting board, rather than letting it swing back to the other side. Alright, back to normal speed as he taxis us into our next clip, and as you can tell, he's just using the field to taxi and practice control of the glider while on the ground. This is going to be the most important step of flying a trike. So we're going to watch this next inflation all the way through, and then we'll debrief what happened. Alright, let's slow it down and see what was going on. So, on inflation, you want to make sure, especially with this combo, that you use full power to inflate the glider. What was happening here is the motor did not go to full power, so the glider stuck into the prop wash zone and never really got to inflate cleanly. Now notice that as soon as that glider gets out of that prop wash, it wants to shoot up really quickly. Most gliders will tend to overshoot and do a frontal collapse. This glider is very generous and makes it easy, but you can see that the left side is starting to overshoot a little bit. It's about to take a collapse. You can stop that collapse by holding a little bit more brake, checking your glider, and you can stop that particular collapse by holding a little left hand brake to make sure that you bring it back from overshooting. As he continues to taxi, we're looking for the brake that he should be holding, and as you can tell, he's not holding a ton of brake. It's still allowing the glider to overshoot, which is what's causing these little tip collapses. Holding a little bit more pressure in the glider will keep it from shooting forward and having those small tip collapses. Also, he might need a little bit more speed for taxiing, and that might help.
More power, we're not going to fly. Little left brake. Just hold that left brake in. Good. Catch it. Good. Just taxi. We're not going to fly. We're just going to taxi.
So let's talk about the rest of his taxi. Everything is nice and stable, but you see this glider get way off to the right-hand side. And while it looks intimidating, you can correct this by pulling just a couple inches of left-hand pressure. Just keep in mind, as it starts to swing back over, you want to grab right-hand pressure to stop it from flying all the way to the left. He held that left pressure just a little bit too long, so it dipped over to the left-hand side, but it was very minimal and he continued to taxi.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video debrief, and stay tuned for the next one.